Welcome to WTEW. We did one video on a type, and I'm going to show you another one also from the book of Daniel. So a type is a past event that foreshadows a future event. And the example I gave was the rock at Horeb. So when Moses struck the rock and water gushed out of it, that was a picture of when Jesus was struck and he was bruised for our iniquities and he died upon the cross. The Holy Spirit flowed out after Jesus passed away. Just as that rock at Horeb was a type of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, we have something in the book of Daniel that foreshadows a future event. And I'm talking about the three Hebrews that get thrown into the fire. And that story is found in Daniel 3:16 to 25. So I'm going to read that. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in these matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visions was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it was wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceedingly hot, the flame of the fire slew those men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound in the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in haste, and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound in the midst of the fire? And they answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt, and the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. That's the type. That actually happened. That was a past event back, I don't know, 650 BC, somewhere in there. And we're going to have an event that's going to happen after Jesus has reigned on earth for 1,000 years. And we're going to compare that, what happened in Daniel, to Revelation 20, verses 7 and 9. So to set the stage, Jesus is going to come back to earth, and he's going to reign, and he's going to drive out sin for 1,000 years, and everything's going to be pretty close to what it was at the Garden of Eden. Men are going to be living around 1,000 years. They might live all the way through there with Jesus. People that are born that time are going to live a long time. But Jesus is going to stop that reign after 1,000 years, and he's going to put things back in charge of God, and God's going to let Satan run roughshod over the earth again. We don't know how long that time is going to be, but Satan's going to turn the whole earth against Israel, and they're all going to come up and attack Israel. If we read starting in verse 7, And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven, and devoured them. So that thing about the 3 Hebrews, well, there's going to be saints in Jerusalem after the Jesus millennial reign, after Satan's let out of his prison. They're going to be there, and fire is going to come down from God, and it's going to consume all those people that were against them, all the people of Satan. But everybody in that city, they're going to be changed from mortal to immortal right at that moment, just like the 3 Hebrews were changed in that fire. They didn't get burned out of it. Jesus is in the midst of them. He'll be in the middle of Jerusalem at that time, and he won't let any harm come to them. And this is what 1 Corinthians 15:51 to 54 is talking about. So that change that happens in the twinkling of an eye, this is how that's going to be. That timing for that is after the millennium, after Satan has once again taken charge of the world and made his armies go against Jerusalem. That's when the change takes place. That's when this whole universe is going to end. This is the last trump of God when he says it is finished for the last time. So he said it is finished after he made creation. It was finished. Jesus finished doing his work on the cross. Again, when this last trump of God, it is finished, this whole world is going to dissolve. But everybody there with Jesus is going to be made immortal. in the twinkling of an eye when that fire comes, and they'll all be safe.